Good Lord, this is impossible. In 40 years, I've never imagined. Arjun's voice faltered, his trembling hands dropping the binoculars onto the damp grass. Under Kaziranga's orange sky, the impossible was materializing before the conservationist's disbelieving eyes. Mina's massive body shuddered violently while Rajiv, the majestic male, trumpeted cries of distress that echoed throughout the reserve. The first calf had already emerged, but something was wrong, or perhaps extraordinarily right. There's something else. She's still in labor, whispered Lakshmi, her expression fluctuating between terror and fascination, paralyzed, unable to process what her eyes were witnessing. This story has touched many hearts. Want to know how it ends? Subscribe to our channel now and tell us in the comments, which city are you watching from? The first light of day was breaking on the horizon, pouring golden hues across the vast Kaziranga Reserve, a natural treasure nestled in the heart of India. Dew still covered the vegetation, while the silence of early morning gave way to the first sounds of wildlife awakening. In this setting of serene beauty, two elephants stood out in the landscape. Rajiv, a majestic male approximately 45 years old, displayed his curved tusks that reflected the rising light. At his side, Mina, a 38-year-old female, moved gracefully despite her robust body. Her eyes, small but expressive, revealed a deep connection between the two. They weren't walking alone. Around them, 23 other elephants formed the herd that had roamed these lands for decades. Rajiv and Meena had grown up together in this group, witnessing the transformations of the seasons, the monsoons that renewed the rivers, the scorching summers that tested their endurance. Those two have been inseparable for at least 15 years, Arjun Singh, one of the reserve's most experienced forest rangers, once remarked. It's uncommon to see such a lasting bond even among elephants. Their story was well known to local conservationists. They had survived poachers, endured droughts, and protected calves over the years. Now, on that special morning, something seemed different in the air as they moved slightly away from the group, as if sharing a secret only the two of them knew. As the weeks progressed, Rajiv began to notice subtle changes in Mina. His attentive eyes, accustomed to detecting the slightest sign of danger in the savannah, now observed with growing curiosity his companion's belly. On a particularly hot afternoon, while Mina was feeding under the shade of teak trees, Rajiv approached her gently. He touched her lightly with his trunk, a gesture that seemed like a silent question. Her belly showed an unusual fullness, different from the other two pregnancies she had experienced years before. "Look at how he examines her," Ravi whispered to his patrol colleague. "Elephants have a perception that often takes us by surprise." With each passing day, Mina's belly seemed to grow more prominently than normal. She moved with increasing difficulty, choosing flatter paths and avoiding the stream crossings she once made with ease. Her appetite had also changed. She now sought specific plants, rich in nutrients, as if her body knew exactly what it needed. It was after a full moon night that the two made an unusual decision. While the herd headed north in search of new pastures, Rajiv and Meena veered east, toward a less frequented area of the reserve. The behavior didn't go unnoticed. "They're isolating themselves," observed Arjun, with his 57 years of experience. "It's rare behavior, but I've seen it before. She's looking for tranquility for what's coming." The mystery of Mina's pregnancy began to intrigue not only Rajiv, but also the forest rangers who respectfully kept their distance while following this story unfolding under the Kaziranga sky. The sun had completed 3 cycles since Rajiv and Meena separated from the herd. With deliberately slow steps, they traversed the vastness of the Kaziranga Reserve, as if Rajiv knew exactly what he was looking for to accommodate his companion. On the morning of the 4th day, they arrived at a spot blessed by nature. A small tributary of the Brahmaputra River meandered between ancient stones, creating pools of crystal clear water. Around them, century-old mango trees formed a natural canopy that filtered the intense light of the Indian sun, creating a mosaic of shadows on the ground. "They've chosen well," remarked Arjun Singh, adjusting his turban while observing the elephants through binoculars. At 62 years old, he knew every corner of that reserve like the lines of his own hand. Fresh water, abundant shade, and nutritious vegetation, perfect for an expectant mother. Beside him, Ravi Patel, 30 years younger but equally dedicated, made meticulous notes in his weather-beaten notebook. "Their behavior is unusual, Arjunji. I've never seen a female elephant move so far from the group to give birth." The two forest rangers had noticed the elephant's absence during the routine count, and concerned about possible poachers in the area, followed their tracks for nearly 12 miles. What they found, however, was not the work of poachers, but a rare chapter of wildlife. Mina seemed more at ease now. She bathed carefully in the river, while Rajiv stood guard nearby, his heightened senses capturing every movement, every smell, every sound that might represent a threat. "Let's set up camp at a safe distance," Arjun decided. "We can't interfere, but we also can't leave them unprotected." As the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky red and orange, the guards silently observed the elephant couple who had instinctively found the perfect refuge for what was to come. A week had passed since Arjun and Ravi set up their modest camp. Their routine adjusted to the rhythm of the elephants. They woke before dawn, observed the animals during the day, and at night took turns keeping watch. "Look at her belly, it's enormous," Ravi commented on a particularly humid morning as vapor rose from the ground warmed by the rising sun. "I've never seen a female elephant so swollen," Arjun nodded, concern evident on his weather-beaten face. "In 40 years of service, I've seen many elephant cows give birth, but this one, there's something different." Mina moved less and less. Her breathing sometimes labored. She fed only on what was within reach of her trunk, as if each step required a tremendous effort. Rajiv always remained nearby, except for brief moments when he moved away to fetch water or more succulent fruits for her. It was during one of these absences that the guards made a difficult decision. After consulting with Dr. Kumar, the reserve's chief veterinarian, by radio they decided to intervene. "We need to check if she's all right," said Arjun, carefully preparing the syringe with tranquilizer. "If we wait any longer, we might lose them both." With the precision of decades of experience, Arjun administered the dart from a distance. Mina barely felt the prick, and within 15 minutes, she was lying peacefully under the shade of a mango tree. Dr. Kumar arrived by jeep an hour later, bringing portable equipment. After a thorough examination, his face revealed surprise. "She is pregnant, yes, as we suspected," he confirmed, adjusting his gold-rimmed glasses. "But the ultrasound shows something extraordinary. The size? It appears there's more than one fetus." "Twins?" asked Ravi, incredulous. "Possibly," replied the doctor, storing the equipment. "And if that's the case, we're looking at something extremely rare. Nature surprises us once again." As the effect of the tranquilizer diminished, the three men moved away in silence, carrying with them the weight of the discovery and the responsibility for what would come next. Dr. Kumar returned to the camp 2 days later, bringing with him Lakshmi Devi, a specialist in Asian elephant reproduction, who had traveled from Delhi especially for the case. "Based on the size of the fetuses and her behavior, I estimate that birth will occur within 2 weeks, perhaps less," explained Lakshmi after reviewing the collected data. Her 55 years dedicated to studying these magnificent animals gave her an authority rarely questioned. The small camp gained structure. A medical tent was erected, emergency equipment was brought in, and a support team remained on standby 5 kilometers away, respecting the privacy necessary for Mina. "Elephants are sensitive to human presence during childbirth," Arjun explained to a newly arrived young assistant. "We need to be prepared to help, but without unnecessary interference." Rajiv seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. His behavior had become even more protective. He rarely moved away now, and when he did, it was only to fetch the most succulent fruits or the tenderest leaves for Mina. At night, he positioned himself strategically, always facing the direction from which a threat might come. "He knows she's vulnerable," observed Ravi. "It's remarkable how these animals understand complex situations." The days passed with agonizing slowness. Mina hardly moved anymore. She had found a spot under 2 old mango trees where the soil was soft and covered with dry leaves. There she remained most of the time, rising only to drink water from the nearby river. "She's preparing herself," Lakshmi commented on a particularly hot afternoon. "She's choosing the birthplace, creating a bond with the space." The tension grew along with Mina's belly. On quiet nights under Kaziranga's starry sky, the conservationists shared stories and concerns, united by the responsibility of protecting one of nature's rarest wonders, the birth of twin elephants in the Indian jungle. "If all goes well," whispered Arjun, looking at the stars, "we'll be witnesses to something few humans have had the privilege to observe." Dawn arrived with a fine, steady rain, typical of that region of India at the beginning of the monsoon season. The air carried an intense perfume of wet earth and wildflowers. It was in this setting that Mina began to show the first signs. "She's restless," observed Lakshmi, who hadn't slept all night. "Notice how she's swinging her head from side to side. Around 5 in the morning, when the first rays of sunlight were still struggling to break through the dense clouds, Mina lay down heavily on the natural carpet of leaves she had chosen. Her enormous body trembled with effort, and a low sound, almost a moan, escaped from her throat. Rajiv, who had been grazing a few yards away, immediately ran to her side. With surprising gentleness for an animal of his size, he touched Mina with his trunk, as if trying to comfort or encourage her. 1 hour passed, then another. Mina tried to stand up twice without success. Her body, exhausted by the extraordinary weight she carried, seemed to have reached its limit. "She's in labor, but something isn't progressing," said Dr. Kumar, observing through binoculars. "If she can't get up soon, the calves could be in danger." Arjun and Ravi exchanged concerned looks. Years of experience had taught them that interfering with the natural cycle of wildlife was always risky, but they also knew how to recognize when human intervention became necessary. "We can't use tranquilizers now," explained Dr. Kumar. "It would be dangerous for the calves. We need to help her another way." The decision was made quickly. While Lakshmi prepared medications to stimulate contractions, Arjun and Ravi approached cautiously, speaking in low, calm tones so as not to frighten the elephants. "Rajiv knows us," Arjun said to the young assistant accompanying them. "He knows we're here to help." As if confirming the forest ranger's words, the large bull elephant moved slightly away, allowing the team to approach Mina. His small, intelligent eyes followed every movement of the humans, in a mixture of distrust and hope. "It's time," whispered Lakshmi, observing the contractions that were now visible in the enormous belly of the elephant cow. "Nature has begun its work. Now we can only watch and intervene if absolutely necessary." The sky was beginning to brighten when Lakshmi, with steady hands despite the tension of the moment, administered a carefully calculated dose of natural oxytocin to stimulate Mina's contractions. The elephant responded almost immediately, her massive body shuddering with a stronger contraction. "Step back a bit," Dr. Kumar instructed in a low voice. "We've given her the boost she needed. Now it's up to nature." The following minutes seemed to drag on like hours. Rajiv remained nearby, his imposing presence like a silent sentinel. The first rays of sunlight finally broke through the clouds, illuminating the clearing with an almost mystical golden light. That's when it happened. With visible effort, Mina expelled a translucent sac that ruptured upon touching the ground covered with damp leaves. From within, a small dark figure emerged, no larger than a calf. "It's born!" exclaimed Ravi, barely containing the emotion in his voice. "It's a healthy calf." They barely had time to admire the newborn when Mina was seized by new contractions. To everyone's astonishment, 15 minutes later, a second calf slid into life, smaller than the first, but equally vigorous. "Twins," murmured Lakshmi with tears in her eyes. "In 30 years of my career, I've never witnessed anything like this in nature." Dr. Kumar was already preparing to examine the two calves when Mina emitted a deep sound, almost a moan. Her body contracted again. "It can't be," whispered Arjun, who in his 62 years of life believed he had seen it all. And yet, there it was, a third calf, smaller than the other two, but complete and alive, joining its siblings on the grass, moistened by the morning dew. A reverent silence took over the clearing. Triplets, a phenomenon so rare that even the most comprehensive books on Asian elephants recorded no more than 1 or 2 confirmed occurrences in all documented history. Even the most skeptical among the scientists present couldn't contain their emotion. There, under the Indian sky, in a reserve that struggled to protect endangered species, life had found a way not only to persist, but to multiply in an almost miraculous manner. The first moments after birth are crucial for any wild offspring, and with elephant triplets, this truth took on even greater proportions. Dr. Kumar and Lakshmi worked with the silent efficiency of those who know well the value of each second. "The first one seems strong," whispered the veterinarian, carefully examining the larger calf while Ravi held it gently. "Lungs functioning well, regular heartbeat." Lakshmi was already attending to the second calf, a bright-eyed female who, despite her smaller size, demonstrated surprising vitality. "This little one is going to give her mother some work," she remarked with a discreet smile. The third calf, however, caused concern. Smaller than its siblings and with irregular breathing, it needed special attention. Arjun, with hands that had helped save countless animals over decades, held the small elephant against his chest, as if trying to transmit his own warmth and strength. "Come on, little warrior," he murmured in Hindi, a prayer disguised as encouragement. Your mother has waited a long time for you. Dr. Kumar administered a small dose of medication to strengthen the calf's respiratory system, while Lakshmi gently massaged his chest. Gradually, the small elephant's breathing stabilized. Throughout this time, Rajiv observed the scene with an attention that defied human understanding of animal consciousness. When the conservationist finally stepped back, he approached the calves with impressive gentleness for an animal of his size. With smooth movements of his trunk, he touched each of the newborns, as if counting or recognizing them individually. Then he turned to Mina, touching her face in a gesture that seemed of profound tenderness. "Look at that," commented Ravi, moved. "He knows they're his children. He's recognizing his family." The sun now shone fully, illuminating the scene with an almost cinematic clarity. The three calves, now cleaned and medicated, rested close to their exhausted mother. Rajiv positioned himself strategically, creating a protective barrier between his family and the outside world. "In 30 years at the reserve," said Arjun, wiping away a stubborn tear that escaped from under his glasses, "I've never seen anything as beautiful as this family." The team discreetly moved away, allowing the elephants to experience these crucial first moments in relative privacy. At the camp, the news was already being transmitted by radio to the reserve headquarters. Kaziranga had just witnessed one of nature's rarest events. The sun had already traveled a good portion of its journey across the sky when Mina began to show signs of recovery. The exhaustion of the triple birth had taken its toll, but the ancestral strength that runs in the veins of Asian elephants was now manifesting in every determined movement of her body. "She's going to try to stand up," predicted Lakshmi, observing from a distance through binoculars. "This is a critical moment." After several frustrated attempts, Mina finally managed to raise her massive body. She wobbled slightly, found her balance, and with her trunk, gently touched each of the three calves that waited patiently by her side. "Mother Durga gave her strength," murmured Arjun, invoking the goddess of strength and protection. Any other elephant cow might not have survived a triple birth. The small elephants, still unsteady on their own legs, tried to imitate their mother. The largest was the first to rise, followed by the female. The third, smaller and more fragile, needed the help of Mina's trunk, which guided it with impressive delicacy. Rajiv completed the family picture, approaching with deliberately slow steps, as if understanding the fragility of the moment. He positioned himself to create a protective circle around the new family. The evening was painting Kaziranga's sky with shades of orange and red when the five elephants finally gathered in perfect harmony. The calves, now steadier, timidly explored the small perimeter defined by their parents. "It's as if they're celebrating," commented Ravi, observing the scene. "A celebration of life." Indeed, there was something almost ceremonial in the way the adult elephants positioned their trunks over the calves, like a silent blessing or a promise of eternal protection. The conservation team observed from a distance, privileged witnesses to one of the rarest and most beautiful spectacles that nature could offer. 3 days had passed since the birth of the triplets. Mina was gradually regaining her strength, while the calves gained confidence with each passing hour. It was on the morning of the fourth day that Rajiv demonstrated behavior that intrigued the observers. "He's restless," noted Arjun, who knew elephant behavioral patterns well. "He keeps looking toward the north." Lakshmi agreed. "He misses the herd." Elephants are profoundly social animals. As if confirming the conservationist theory, Rajiv emitted a deep, prolonged trumpet that echoed through the forest. To everyone's surprise, minutes later, a similar sound responded from a distance. "The herd is nearby," exclaimed Ravi. "They must be looking for them." The elephant family's decision seemed to be made by silent consensus, with Rajiv in front, Mina in the center protecting the calves, and the little ones walking in triangular formation. They began their journey northward. The conservation team followed at a distance, witnessing what would be the final chapter of that extraordinary story. After approximately 1.25 miles, at the edge of a verdant clearing, the meeting took place. The herd, composed of 23 elephants, received the family with what could only be described as enthusiasm. The adult females immediately formed a protective circle around Mina in the calves, while the younger males greeted Rajiv with trunk touches. "It's like a welcome celebration," commented Dr. Kumar, moved. "They understand the importance of what happened." For Arjun, Ravi, and the team that had witnessed every moment of that journey, the greatest reward for all these days working day and night, caring for Mina's delivery, was seeing the elephant family reintegrated into the herd. protected by the strength of the collective and by the unbreakable bond that unites these magnificent animals. Before continuing, comment below on what you thought about Rajiv's attitude. Did it seem irrational and wild to you? And if you like animals, click the like button and subscribe to our channel. Together, let's reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. When you subscribe, you help us continue posting stories that can influence this world to take better care of our animals. I'll give you a moment to like and subscribe. Now picture a determined young man finding a lost dog, chained by a rusty chain in an abandoned lot. Her eyes reflect fear, but also a spark of hope. When he tries to approach, the dog backs away and growls, afraid that he might be just another person to mistreat her. Under a cloudy sky, he asks his brother, "How can we help her if she no longer believes in people?" Are you ready to embark on this journey of courage and compassion? Click on the video appearing on your screen and follow this moving story. Incredible new beginnings are always just one click away. I'll see you in the next video.